Lottery, bingo, and slot machines. Whether mom was in town and you took her to the casino or you decided to press your luck with this year's Powerball ticket, we need to safely and compliantly record our winnings and losses. So welcome to today's seminar on Don't Gamble when reporting gambling winnings and losses. My name is Scott Schneider and I'm with Liberty Tax Service. A couple gambling misconceptions is that you don't have to report your winnings. Even if you don't receive a W-2G from the casino that you're at, you technically have to report all of your winnings on your taxes every year. So, excuse me. So even if you don't get a Form W-2G, still make sure to take records and report your winnings on those taxes. So we'll go through some best practices, right, to make sure that we have all that information stored for us to pull up when it's tax time. So a couple of things you can do is take a picture of your receipt for your gambling's winnings and losses. Have a record. So nobody likes to lose, but let's say you lose a couple hundred at the casino this week. Next week, you could potentially win big. So having a record of your yearly losses will help reduce your tax burden of the bigger winnings. So if you choose to itemize your deductions on a Schedule A Form 1040, you can deduct gambling losses you had during the year, but only up to the amount of your winnings. You can't go beyond that. So those beautiful casinos aren't built on gamblers winning. So more than likely, you're going to have more losses than you are winnings. From a tax perspective, you can only claim losses up to and equaling your winnings. So let's say you won $5,000 and it doesn't matter that you lost $50,000. You can only claim up to that $5,000 in losses, negating it back to an even zero. So lotteries and raffles are a little bit different, but winnings from lotteries and raffles are considered gambling winnings. You must include in your income the fair market value of bonds, cars, houses, and any other non-cash prize that you might win from a lottery or raffle. And the lottery pool at work is a great example too. You might throw in a couple dollars to win, and if you guys win, you have to claim those winnings. So typically, you're going to get a Form W-2G from the casino if you have some substantial winnings, and that's pretty much just like a W-2 or a 1099 that you would get from your employer. And it just shows the income that you got so that you can make sure and report it properly on your tax return. So reportable winnings from a W-2G, where if you make more than $1,200 or more from slot machines or bingo, not reduced by the wager. Another reportable winning would be Keno, $1,500 or more, reduced by the wager this time, and then $5,000 or more from a poker tournament, reduced by the wager or buy-ins. So just because you don't get a W-2G, just like all the other times, doesn't mean you don't have to report. You got to make sure that you have good records showing all your winnings and losses. So the winnings, except for from bingo, Keno, slot machines, and poker tournaments, are reduced at the option of the payer by the wager. So if the wager is $600 or more, or at least 300 times the amount of the wager. Winnings are subject to federal income tax withholding. So make sure with the W-2G withholding, your regular gambling withholding is 25%. So a good practice there is, for every dollar that you win at a casino, go ahead and put 25 cents in a savings account, something like that, because you know that you're going to have to pay those taxes. And so instead of getting stuck with the big burden come tax time, put a little bit away every time that you get some winnings. So you got that money there, earning a little bit for you in a savings account, and you're ready to go when tax time comes. So backup withholdings are at 28%. So somewhere around a quarter would be good. So if payment is already subject to regular gambling withholding, it is not subject to backup withholding. So regular gambling withholding is formulated by total gross proceeds equals the winnings minus the amount waged. It does not include bingo, Keno, slots, or wagering if less than $5,000, but is subject to backup withholding. So W-2G backup withholding will occur if the winner does not furnish a correct taxpayer identification number, 25% has not been withheld, and the winnings are at least $600 and at least 300 times the wager, or the winnings are at least $1,200 from bingo or slots, $1,500 from Keno, or more than $5,000 from a poker tournament. Local and state laws are a little bit different everywhere. So best practice would just be to ask a local tax professional for assistance to understand what's going on in your area. A copy of that W-2G may need to be remitted to the state, so make sure you have a copy of that. And the Form 5754 may need to be used if the person receiving the winnings is not the actual winner or is a member of a group of winners, like the office lottery that we were talking about earlier. So a couple distinctions. An amateur gambler is a person who engages in a pursuit, especially a sport, or on an unpaid basis. So it's not your job. But a professional gambler is a person engaged or qualified in a profession as a specialist or vocational practitioner. So to go in a little bit more detail, amateurs can't claim costs related to wagering, such as travel, meals, lodging, things like that, but you still need to document winnings and losses. Professionals, however, treat gambling as a business with strict record keeping and receipts. Complimentary rooms and vacations and gifts are treated as income and need to be documented. So professional gamblers excuse me, must devote substantial time to gambling on a regular basis and depend on gambling winnings as a meaningful source of income, kind of like the real life character from the movie Rounders or 21. So you must report allowable out-of-pocket expenses on a Schedule C, and you're subject to the self-employment tax, which can have significant impact in profitable years. So that distinction between professional and amateur really makes a big difference. So make sure you're doing it the right way. An amateur gambler can deduct losses if they itemize their deductions, but the amount of the losses can't be more than the amount of the income that they received. So the losses get claimed on a Form 1040 Schedule A, and if they don't itemize, they can't claim losses. So having records definitely helps to make sure that you get itemized properly so that you don't just take the standard deduction. A non-resident alien of the U.S. cannot deduct gambling losses. In rare cases, such as being a Canadian citizen, they might be able to. So keeping accurate records is a must. One thing that I'm stressing through this webinar is making sure that you do keep proper records. So you need to keep receipts and tickets and statements and documents. The winnings are separate from the losses. You need information such as the date, the type of wager or wagering activity, the name, address and location of the gambling facility, the names of persons present with you at the time of the wins and loss, and the amounts won and lost. So one way to help with that is if you have a player's club card, you can request a win-loss statement from the casino. Some casinos even let you access your statements online. So make sure to check out those options. So record keeping for wagering on table games such as 21 or blackjack, poker, roulette, etc., are substantiated by the number of the tables played, or the number of that table played. So substantiated by using a credit card at the casino is a good thing. So it indicates the place, the time, date, the amount played. So that's definitely an option to help with that record keeping, making sure that you've got it in a couple different places. Personally documenting information of time, date, full address of the place, the people accompanying you, anything you can do to get records done so that you can itemize your taxes properly. So record keeping from lotteries is a little bit different. It's substantiated by keeping a record of the ticket purchase and the dates, winnings and losses, unredeemed tickets, payment statements, and tax courts have disallowed all gambling losses for lack of documentation or support. So be ready to prove it. Real quick anecdote, back in February 1998, an unemployed gambler who failed to file timely returns for 2 years, kept no records, had a pretty sobering experience. Tax court ruled he had to pay tax on all of his winnings and was allowed no deductions for his losses because he had no record keeping. So he would have owed no taxes, but instead he got hit for 2 years back taxes with penalties. So don't let that be you. And so, some of the things we've learned today is what actually classified as gambling, what is gambling, and difference between regular and backup withholding, with non-cash payments, local and state reporting is different than federal reporting, amateur versus gambler, professional gambler status, winnings versus losses in Schedule A, keeping accurate records, and proof that you need to keep accurate records. It's super, super important. Makes your life a lot easier in the long run to just take a couple extra minutes each day, each time that you do a little bit of gambling. So if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to send me an email, Scott Schneider at libertytax.com. That's SCOTTSCHNEIDER at libertytax.com. Be glad to print out a template, Excel spreadsheet, something like that to help you keep records and answer any questions that you have. So if there's anything else I could do, feel free to let me know, and good luck out there, guys. Bye now.